Hello there, and welcome. Well, last week I stumbled onto something that's really important, maybe more important than most of what I've talked about, but was never part of the discussion when I was preparing to teach. And that subject could be expressed in most secondary school settings as popularity, being popular. When I started to try to get my arms around talking about being popular, I realized, wait a minute, this is a way bigger topic. Because when you're in high school, or secondary school, I should say anything past elementary, most human beings during that time period in their life are going through a tremendous transition that is maybe one of the most influential periods that they will experience. And because of its incredible uneven qualities, it can be really mystifying, even to people who've been through it, even to people who are trained about it. I'm, of course, talking about the transition from childhood to adulthood, sexual maturity. And we know, all of us know, that have gone through that there's physical changes, there's hormonal changes, there's academic changes, and social changes. And almost all of them are way more complex and subtle than most human beings can easily deal with. That's why a lot of traumas happen at that age. Our hormonal state is very unpredictable at that age, and therefore our emotional state is very unpredictable. We are only beginning the journey into understanding our personal sexual nature, our personal gender, and the things that we are attracted to. And at the same time, our body is expressing a deep and almost insistent need for sexual satisfaction. And for that reason, being an appealing person to others becomes really, really, really important. And students are very interested in each other and how they're changing. But the reality is students are very interested in how their teachers are, what kind of people their teachers are. They're forming ideas about the mature adult. They're forming ideas about how to conduct themselves in public and in private. And some of the examples they just kind of naturally end up looking to are teachers. The problem is when you start talking about popularity, student popularity and teacher popularity, you begin to see that these words, these high school words, popular, actually continue to influence people's lives for the rest of their existence, because though we're just forming our identity, our gender, and the things we're attracted to and the things we admire, when we're going through that transition, we are mutable. And so throughout our lives, we're contending with the struggles of how we want to express our needs and how we want to live our lives. It's an old cliche, well, it's not that old, but it's a cliche when people say to young teenagers, it gets better. Well, yes, some things do get better. Some things get worse. And what really is most guaranteed to get better is you're going to get better at coping with the myriad of various experiences that come at you. You have to get better or you're going to suffer a lot. So the first thing I want to say about this issue, about popularity, and about all the the grown-up words that spring from it, things like respect, influence, veneration, all of the fancier ideas, more complex ideas that we have about admiration as we mature, they still are an expression of some of those most rudimentary feelings that we have when we're going through the transition initially. So, one of the things I want to talk about in these coming episodes are things that I suggest to young people to help keep their bearings as they go through the experience, the things that I think teachers should remind young people about. And then I want to talk about how adults confront their working environment and the issue of being respected and admired and valued and honored in whatever work environment you're in, but especially in the teaching environment. So that's my aim. And today I just want to encourage whoever might watch this, think back. Think back as far as you can into that state of early adolescence. And try to identify how you were responding to your peers and how you were responding to the adults that were part of your community. What were you seeing and what were you admiring? What were you responding to? Because I think if we all look back at that, we'll be better able to understand how learning to cope with the need to be admired and loved is so important that we need to strengthen those skills every year of our life. We need to think about what it means to have an internal locus of value and an external locus of value. Because both of those exist, and when we're mature, we sometimes think, well, we've got it all figured out. But the reality is, that is the great challenge of life, or at least one of them. So that's it for today, just setting you up to give you an idea of where we're headed. And I hope you have a glorious rest of the day, and I hope you see me again. You gorgeous people.